welcome to Reinforce the Horse podcast. My name is Jason. Today, I just wanted to share with you a letter I wrote after viewing a new documentary on PBS, or the public broadcasting station here in America, called Human Footprint. And it's their first episode, called Strangers in Paradise. And the letter pretty much speaks for itself, so I'll just go ahead and read it to you. I'm writing in response to the recent PBS documentary Human Footprint, Episode 1, Strangers in Paradise. I'm concerned and rather appalled by what I saw and the messages being delivered by an organization such as PBS, which I've long admired, respected, and valued as a trusted source of news and education for myself and my family. While I believe there may be many aspects of the film in question which should be thoroughly reviewed and properly fact-checked, I'll concentrate my response to that of the wild, or so-called feral, American horses, as the hosts of the show described them. This film presents itself to the untrained eye as one discussing some of the various problems existing within our human existence and how we ultimately have an effect on the planet we occupy. However, it's clear to those with more information, such as the information provided to, but ignored by, the production management, that this film has much more to do with perpetuating unnecessary cruelty and inhumane treatment of species which we deem unworthy of protecting. The show host comments, "Some species we love so much that we actually convince ourselves that they belong," begins this film's antagonistic rant about American wild horses, as if there are species existing on the planet which don't belong. Does he mean in a particular region, a particular country, on the planet itself? The viewer is left to his or her discretion. The host goes on to set the stage for the narrow-minded, biased story he's wishing to tell. Our relationship with the West, and I quote, our relationship with the West, the story we tell ourselves about it, is full of contradictions. No species is more emblematic of that tangled relationship or more likely to get you in a shouting match with a stranger than the horse. Horses just seem to be one of those quintessentially American, but they're not native, end quote. The only thing worthy of a shouting match in this case is the fact that it doesn't matter whether a species is native or not. Let us not forget how we treated the true native people of this land long ago. The core of the problem rests in the fact that the American taxpayer is continually fitting the bill for the government-led, inhumane, helicopter-driven, militaristic roundups and subsequent captures of wild horses and burros. Whether the animals are wild or feral is a moot point. Perhaps even more appalling and outlandish are the ways the film exploits the viewers through compiling the cinematography to not only begin by telling the viewer myths and suppositions about the native history of horses, but goes on to describe the Mustangs as, quote, baby machines, end quote. The entire narrative continues on to frame the wild horses as perpetrators of a crime against public lands without so much of a whisper about all the strong evidence available to totally dispel such claims. If that isn't enough, the film continues with the host and his guest, Kate Schoenecker, making a mockery of a nursing foal and its mom. Quote, "Oh, it's nursing. That little one is nursing. Aw, yeah. See, you can't help but go, aw, right? Yeah, it was completely involuntary. Ha, right," end quote. This exchange taking place moments prior to incorrectly discussing water resources, grazing patterns, and the mention that, quote, "horses outcompete native wildlife for water, and their hooves turn precious watering holes into mud pits," end quote. Again, the horse being made out to be a perpetrator of a crime against nature, all the while including absolutely no discussion or dialogue about the facts that wildlife and vegetation simply are not negatively affected by wild horses. They actually assist in balancing the ecosystems rather than obliterating them, as the film implies. Perhaps the most alarming comment of all from the host of the show, quote, "Now that's impressive," end quote. Once again, the viewer is left to his or her own devices to make sense of such a comment. Is it impressive that humans have the audacity to hop into a loud and dangerous mechanized vehicle to chase other species into corrals? Is it impressive that it's quite likely the very fate of the foal they just witnessed in awe loses its life and or its mother at the hands of militaristic helicopter pilots who think of the equines as nothing more than collateral damage while carrying out a militaristic mission? Is it, quote, impressive that the film provides no real footage of the actual helicopter maneuvers, including altitudes, and absolutely no information about the grueling brutality involved due to the seeming miles and miles of land the horses are driven from? Is it impressive that the corral refers to the horses being chased into tiny pens via narrow gateways whereby many horses incur injuries and often succumb to death as a result? Is it impressive that absolutely none of this barbaric treatment is necessary? That the only true motive behind it rests in the myriad government contracts and programs funded by the American taxpayer and laundered by the Bureau of Land Management, with the sole purpose of enriching corporations and individuals at the expense of our public lands, taxpayers, and wild horses and burros? This film should be removed from public access immediately, and PBS should provide a public apology.